Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the TNC Podcast with R&E. We're your hosts, Ryan and Eli. It's called the TNC Podcast. Talking cock is two guys dicking around. Eli, how you doing, man?
I am doing all right. I didn't like how close you got to your mic there, but I won't say anything.
But it sounded pretty sexy, didn't it?
Moving on. I'm doing great. It is very cold outside, so that's something new at least. But
yeah.
And it's good. We just got done with Thanksgiving, so that was good.
Nice. Way to date our recording, but
say that again.
Way to date our recording. But
oh yeah. Well, it is what it is. That's why we have an editor. His name shall not be known.
Yeah, it's not me. It's not me.
It's not me.
It's definitely not me.
Exactly.
I don't spend hours and hours editing. I don't.
Exactly. No, you don't.
It's not me.
No.
What? Who said that? That's not me. How are you doing, Ryan? Well, you see.
How are you, Ryan?
I don't know if you can tell by my sexy voice. I'm sick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've had, like...
disease.
Yeah.
Unknown disease. Probably the flu. I get the flu, like... I get sick at least like once a year around wintertime. Yeah. And then I never get sick again.
Like, I know, like, strep was going around, like, a couple weeks ago, but... I mean, yeah.
How long does that last? Because, like, I feel like I've gone over this pretty quick.
A week? 4 days?
Maybe strep. I don't know. Just try not to make out with me. I know it's hard for you, but just try not to. No, I sounded a lot worse a few days ago.
Yeah, no, you did sound...
sound like Darth Vader.
Like, yeah.
Like, I can only, like...
fucking 10 decibels lower.
Yeah, but it sounds so much sexier, bro. I just wish I had that voice all the time. You know? Like, it's like a whole octave lower than when I actually speak. It's like, impressive. Most impressive. You know? Like, I can't do that normally.
Oh, yeah. I know, you have such a high-pitched voice.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far. Okay, maybe you can... My voice is lower
than
yours.
Chill out a little bit.
Yeah, you can chill out.
You're saying your voice is lower than mine?
That's when you're, like, actually trying. Like, you physically drop your own balls when you sound like that.
I pulled them off of my body just there.
Yeah, they're, like, removable.
Mm-hmm. It's like Velcro.
I was going to say Velcro.
This is definitely Velcro.
So I got that phlegmy cough now.
Hot. Make sure to go up to, like, some boomers and cough on them like that, because that's what they do to us. No, like, I just like the whole, like, boomer thing about, well, I mean, them being other than them being boomers and other than them
all
being
sicknesses
boomers
are a hoax.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I don't know if this is true. I doubt this is true or not, but I saw it was like a presidential campaign advertisement like 3 months ago, and it was I forget who it was for, but it was essentially saying that, like, people in America never had COVID. We had something entirely different, but the UN just called it COVID so that they could rack up, like, the taxpayer money on the vaccines.
That makes COVID so much sense.
And then I was like,
a million people died of unknown disease.exe.
Just something else.
Yeah.
Something else. But yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, there's no way, and I'm not even going to waste my time researching this, because
they'll probably get a lot of votes in the primaries because they're just a bunch of bullshit. Well, we're getting controversial already.
Yeah, I know.
This is our
real quick.
This is gonna be our most controversial episode so far,
depending on what we decide to keep in. But yes, so far,
I'm just gonna cut all of it out.
So far in 5.5 minutes, we've already reached politics in a non-politics episode. So
we talked for like 30 minutes before this, and we did not mention politics at all.
We did not mention one thing. Not
instant we get in, we're like, these damn boomers, boomers, baby boomers.
No, like so much in the, I don't know how much you use TikTok to like get like news stories or like see what's happening around the world, or if you just use it for like entertainment.
Sometimes for shits and giggles, but like I've seen what it does to people when they go down the wrong rabbit holes.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. My my like For You page has just been flooded with political controversies and, you know, like the war in Gaza and like just everything, because I liked one one thing. But I like seeing it because I feel like that's one of the reasons the US government wants to get rid of TikTok. It wants to ban TikTok again, because it's the only platform that people can actually have a voice, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like if something's...
Because like Twitter is really like no longer a viable platform for people to use, other than like small...
there's like barriers to Twitter now.
Yeah, and like, you know, your posts can get like just removed because of something in the guidelines, like even if you are not violating anything. It's just like, no, that's an opinion, can't be here, even though Twitter was built on the premise of free speech, right?
Same thing with like YouTube. Like I feel like if it's too controversial, they'll just take your video down.
Yeah no, I do get that.
Like people even they get afraid to fucking curse on YouTube, you know?
Yeah.
I love YouTube. I fucking love YouTube. I acknowledge that it's...
Oh yeah, no, same.
It gets pretty sensitive with that stuff. Which is fine. Like they do whatever they want. It's their company, but
like I'm saying, like in terms of like social media posting, which is like, you know, Twitter came after Facebook, and Facebook was like, you know, at least in our generation, that was like the OG social media platform, because people could post pictures and post captions, and same thing with Twitter, you know. And it's just like, I don't know where I'm really going with this, or where I was.
I don't know either. I was
trying to go with that, but
I was going to let you try your best. That's all you can do. I appreciate you trying.
But no. So so like that's one of the main things that the US government is talking about right now, is doing another vote on a TikTok ban. And it's because it's becoming so political, and like so much news is spread through TikTok that is not covered on any major news network.
Well, yeah, because all of
them
or
any local news network, like
all of them got their like fingies and like
all of their agendas,
the agendas, the campaigns, all that. You know, a lot of companies have like politicians under their belts because they may have stock in the company or something like that, or they donate to campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
They want certain people in office, certain people not in office.
Oh, I know. I mean, like a lot of the biggest one, this is not even going to be a controversy, but Fox News is backed by like 80% of the Republican primary.
Well, yeah.
Basically, everyone in that party is backed by Fox News. So anything revolving around those people, it's just like anything revolving around those people that pops up on their news, they're either not even going to cover it or completely construed it into something that it is not at all.
Yeah, they'll make it like their own agenda.
Oh, 100%.
Like, oh, this major issue that's like actually like affecting people negatively. They're just woke. They're just woke, and
they're doing it for
they're getting
attention.
soft and weak.
Yeah.
And also, it didn't even happen. So, like, there's so much misinformation spread on Fox News, and even the people that worked at Fox News deny these things that happen and then go on air and say it happened. But like in court proceedings, like Tucker Carlson, he would say all the time on the air is like, this election was the last election was stolen. Donald Trump
Oh,
won.
yeah.
But then
Mm-hmm.
in the court proceedings, he testifies like, no, the election was not stolen. In text messages, he's like, Donald Trump's fucking crazy
Yep.
for saying
Yep.
all this. The election was not stolen. Like, so it's like,
It's like all of these people who work for this company
and
are just
all this stuff comes out, and then the viewers don't care.
mm-hmm.
There's so much
Mm-hmm.
copia, and it's like, oh, well, they said that because this, and that. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
the
No, it's
copium,
just
bro.
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Misinformation is spread, then it comes out, it's misinformation. They're like, I don't care. I'll keep watching.
Yeah. Yeah. And like all of these people who work for these companies like don't even believe what they're saying. They're just doing it for the paycheck, I
Oh
guess.
yeah, it's easy money to be like a right wing grifter. You know, a lot of people go down that route and say all these ridiculous things because it gets them money and it gets them these radicals who are like, yes, finally some validation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I'm speechless for the most part nowadays.
Yeah, it is what it
Like
is.
so much has been said, like so many words I have said about just the current climate of the world, and it's just like it's gotten to a point where I'm just like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. There's nothing I can do immediately to change the outcome of the world or change people's viewpoints, but I'll share my
I,
opinions. I'll
I
share my
just hate
opinions.
when like it's like, okay, let me force my viewpoint onto you, put it into law, stuff like that, where it's like
Mhm.
something completely subjective, like a religious belief, because there's a
Yes,
lot of right
certainly.
wing is, Christians, which
Yeah.
again, you can be religious. I don't care. But
Mhm.
like, don't put it into politics. Don't put it into office. Again,
Ex-
like the people who made the
exactly.
Constitution were probably religious too, but we change the times, and you need to keep things equal between
E-
people who are religious and people who aren't. You can't just make laws around your religious beliefs. That's just not fair.
Exactly. In our history, there was a time where the church was, or, that the Catholic Church was the government. They
Yeah,
decided what rules and laws happened, and then there was a separation of church and state.
yeah, I think that's a
And
good thing, but they're trying to
because
shove
there
it.
should be, because like when you look at how diverse America is, when you look at how diverse like like even you and I going to college, like you can see it's like where we went to college, you wouldn't think it would be as diverse as it was,
Oh yeah,
but
it
there's
was a big shock for me
big
because
shock.
again, I grew up in a small town. I don't. You, you see a lot of the same type of people.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I'm sure it was culture shock for you, um
Yeah, and not in like a
because
bad way. I was like, oh, cool. I got to see all these different things, experience all these different things.
have
Um,
conversations with people that you never would have had conversations with.
oh yeah, and it's not like I didn't have any like diverse conversations when I
Yeah.
was here because I do live, you know, around a place where a lot of people travel in and out, only live for a certain amount of time and then leave.
Hmm.
You know, because military and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But but never to that scale with that many people, that many different opinions, voices. It was nice to see.
It's definitely eye-opening, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the world's a
No,
lot
and
bigger than the small town you grow up in.
yeah. And that it's funny that kind of goes into the next part I was talking about, but I feel like that's important for everyone to go through.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't think anyone should have the mindset that everyone on, like that everyone on their street is everyone in the world, or like everyone I work with is everyone there is. It's like the world is not that small. It's
Yeah, you got to
small,
expand the
but it
blinders a
like
little bit.
you got to take the blinders off completely,
Yeah,
And I feel like
you can't live in
um
like an echo chamber. You can't, you know, a lot of things happen with even people you know,
mhm,
where it's like if they're out of sight, they're out of mind.
yeah.
So you're
No,
only thinking
I
about yourself. You're only thinking about, oh, Diane down the street,
yeah.
But the world is so much bigger than that, and it's nice to find your place in it. But like,
Mhm,
you're not the main character. You're not that important.
yeah. No, I mean we've talked about that before, man. Um and like I think there's a lot that goes into like that like lack of cultural awareness from a lot of people because of how they were raised, beliefs that they were taught growing up. um
Yeah, I mean,
and
same here. Like I was definitely
yeah.
taught those beliefs within the bubble that I was in.
Hmm.
I was very much raised in the church and
The Catholic Church or the Christian Church?
Pentecostal Christian
Pentecostal.
church.
Okay.
Yeah, and like it definitely. I'm not saying it's like the worst thing in the entire world. There are
Hmm.
definitely worse things to get into when you're growing up. Um, it taught me good morals, like to care for your neighbors, to not kill anyone, not steal things, immoral stuff, not cheat on your spouse. Things like that were instilled in me very young, which is nice.
Hmm.
But then it gets to a point where there are agendas and there's the guilt, there's the judgment, and that's when it started to become like a very distaste to my mouth, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Where like, you know, I'm bisexual. I say this in
Yeah.
a previous episode,
Yeah.
but like the reason I didn't accept that part of myself was because I was very religious.
Because of
And
those like morals that like you kind of that were like surrounded that had surrounded you for so many years, right? Just
yeah,
like, oh, well,
homosexuality is wrong.
it's wrong. Yeah, it's not
And
okay.
it's like sinful. But, even before I came out as bi, I think it was when I got into high school, especially in the later years of high school, I
Hmm.
became way more accepting of these things because I started to become very close friends with people in those communities. And it's like, and then I would see them in very happy, fulfilling relationships,
Hmm.
with same gender, same sex. So the people I was
Um,
interacting
yeah,
with, same sex relationships, they would transition and transgender, very
yeah.
happy, loving, caring people. And it's like, these guys aren't like the evil that you make them out to be. They
Hmm.
aren't like these lost souls. If they feel like it felt like they were more accepting of themselves and more in tune with who they are than a lot of Christians are.
Yeah.
And so it was a big eye opener for me. And not to say like I was like, oh, I hate gays and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
just
No, of
like
course not.
there was this, I guess, cognitive dissonance where it was like I'm being told that it's a sin and it's bad, but
Hmm.
then I experience people who do it and feelings of it myself, and I just feel totally different from what I'm being preached to.
Hmm.
And then it comes to the point where it's like I don't think this is bad. I don't think this is love. This is care. This is kindness.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where I guess that led me away from
Okay.
those beliefs.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah, of
What
course.
was it like in your childhood, growing up?
So, it was pretty interesting for me. So, I grew up in a pretty extended family of Roman Catholics. Um, I didn't go to Catholic or Christian or any religious school until high school. But up until high school, I went to uh, I don't know. They have so many names for it, but it's, you know, like once a week you go to like a class, and then um
So they had
you get
classes instead of like church
so like
services. It was like a
yeah, so
class.
like every so we would do like I would do church with I'd go to church with my family, but every other Sunday, I think, I think it was every other Sunday. I don't know. It was like 2 or 3 times a month. We like my sisters and I would go to our church, but they had like a school attached to it. So we would like go to these hour-long classes, and we would learn about religion, learn about Christianity and Catholicism. And with Catholicism, you in like fourth grade, you uh, go through your first communion, and then by the end of your eighth grade, you go through confirmation, which is like whether or not you want to continue being a Catholic. And I did confirmation, and I confirmed being a Catholic, and then I went to a Marianist Catholic high school,
Okay.
um, that was not a public school. You know, I had never gone to um, like religious schooling other than Sunday school. So I mean, that in and of itself was extremely eye opening, because we did, you know, we had mass once a month. I had to wear a uniform to work, or
To work.
I had to wear a uniform to school. We had a dress code and stuff, and you know, like up until then, or up until this point, like I wasn't against religion. I wasn't like against Catholicism or Christianity, or really any religion for that matter. But I think me literally going to a Catholic school is what caused me to say goodbye to the religion.
Really? Was
Because
that
yes,
like
well,
off-putting?
just because of like how in like I mean, it was an all guys school. It wasn't, you know, like church, 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 church. Like it wasn't like culty or anything, but like the things I was taught in religion class, and like, you know, all of these things that I went through in high school, and like all like I did a retreat, like a 2 to 3 day retreat with my school,
Ooh,
freshman year
fun.
and senior, or freshman year and junior year. No, they were not fun. Um, it was very just really felt out of place for me. Um,
Yeah,
but
I got invited to those kind of retreat things a lot. Where it's like, oh, we're going
ours was
here.
mandatory.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And the one in my junior year was actually very enjoyable. It was very eye-opening in terms of my own personality. I'd say it was more of like a social retreat.
Hmm.
Like it was just, you know, the guys I yeah, it was just like my class, the guys I graduated with. It was interesting because we like actually had like, you know, somewhat heart to heart conversations through the activities that we were doing during the retreat. It was a lot of self reflecting. Um,
Yeah.
it was a lot of reflecting on your peers. So like at the end of the at the end of the retreat, we all got a folder that like all of our classmates like wrote little messages on about like me as a person. So it was
That's
it, it was it was a lot. It was a
that's a lot
lot,
of
but it
like
was
pressure
but
to
it
like impress people.
it was at this time. It like there was a lot of there were a lot of things going around with abortion and abortion rights, and um homosexual rights, like just everything, you know, a lot of things that I thought, you know, were in a good place started not to be in a good place. And then I realized how the Catholic Church thought about both of those issues. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I read into a little bit more. And I realized that basically all of my values that I had accrued up until now completely, you know, disaligned with the church.
That like cognitive dissonance between what you're being told and what you actually feel and believe in.
And like, I didn't confirm, like, I didn't go through confirmation because I was 100% sure that I was gonna, remain a Catholic till the end of days. I kind of, did it because that's what my sisters did. That's what my
That's what everyone
mom
else did.
Yeah, that it was just like, oh no, you do first communion, and then at the end you do confirmation. Like, that was that.
Were you pressured into like confirmation, stuff like that? Like, of course, it's what everyone else did and it felt normal. But was there any like, oh, well, if you don't do this, then you're going to hell and you're going to burn forever. You're a sinner, stuff like that. Like any negative reinforcement towards what they wanted you to do?
I'd say there was both. So my, funnily enough, this high school that I went to, my aunt was the house director there, and the school was split up into houses, like Hogwarts,
50 points to Gryffindor.
So we had 6 houses in the school, and she was the house director. So she decided, where, like, all of the rules in terms of all the, houses and stuff. She was like on the board, basically. So, yeah. And she had been working there for like 25, 30 years. So any like family event I went to, she would always be like, "Oh, how's Muller treating you?" And then like in the hallway, Eli, like,
that's a lot of pressure.
But I mean, no student liked her, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I'd say my parents not like negatively like forced me into it. It was just like that's what I was gonna do, like that's what we did as a family. We got confirmed. Like, yeah. It wasn't really like a question whether or not I should. It was just like, I'm just
gonna... It was expected.
Yeah. So I don't think there was ever any like aggravation or anything like bad that like forced me into doing it, but I just I just kind of did it because that's what we did. What about you though? Was there a lot of like, were you pressured into conforming to this religion?
Yeah. So I was going to the church before I was even born, because when my mother was pregnant with me, she was in church, didn't believe a word of it. Obviously, it's just she was kind of pulled into that community type thing. And then when I was not second grade, it was 4th grade. I was told that if I don't ask Jesus into my heart, then I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to burn forever.
In 2nd grade?
4th grade. 4th grade. I was a 9-year-old.
Still, Jesus.
Still single digits, and you tell me that I'm going to burn forever, go to hell, and there's no going back. And so, as a 9-year-old would, I bawled my freaking eyes out. And everyone else around me was like, "Oh my goodness, the Holy Spirit's taken over." And it's like, no, I was scared to die. I was scared out of my mind. And so I'm just crying at the freaking altar while everyone's hands are on me, asking Jesus into my heart, because I'm just scared that I'm going to die. Because again, like, I grew up in church. It's all I've ever known.
Jesus Christ.
So there was no other like option. And then I'm told if I don't do this thing, I will die and burn forever and not go to heaven like everyone else. So it's really traumatizing.
You should have warned me.
Yeah, that's why I was like, have you experienced this?
You just dropped a fucking bomb on me.
I was like, I
didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, I was like, have you experienced this, any of y'all? It's just me.
Yeah, no, I definitely did not experience that. Maybe I did, and I've just blocked it out of my memory at this point in my life. Maybe that's possibility. Maybe that's what happened.
But so that's kind of what the sentiment was And so I was just scared to death, and I had to be a devout Christian after that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm not going to heaven. You have to be godly. Everything you do has to be godly and for God. And if
Yeah.
you do anything for yourself, for self-enjoyment or anything like that, it made you feel like living your normal life, how you live it, was wrong. And then there's so
No,
many different factions of Christianity
mm-hmm.
too. Like I grew up in a Pentecostal church, which they're very intense.
Mm-hmm.
But they some banging music. Especially when we had a pastor, not the pastor I grew up with very young, but like the pastor after that, do
Mm-hmm.
crazy piano solos. There's like boom, 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 boom.
So that's why you liked that's why you liked going to church. You just listen to the music.
Yeah, it was also whatever I knew, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're just very intense, very passionate people. You preaching, you get red in the face. It's like, and from God.
Oh, Jesus.
It got really weird when they start bringing like current events into it, and they're like, "Well, this Bible verse says this, and this is why these homosexuals." And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, "Okay, let's chill out there, buddy."
Yeah, I was also I was in a sermon at one point, or not I wasn't in a sermon. I was listening to a sermon in mass, during high school, and it was like the double whammy. They like bashed homosexuality, like and gay marriage as a whole, um, and abortion rights all in one, like all in like 20 words, and I was like, this is how they feel about this. And then I didn't think anything of it. I went to another mass like a month later, and an entirely different pastor said essentially the same thing, like not word for word from the previous pastor, but if you just moved some words around, it would be the same exact sentence.
A lot of the messages are the same because, like, how much content can you really get out of this? You know,
And how far can you stretch it? What it boils down to at the end is cult um like not
attitudes and
necessarily, yeah, attitudes, and like um not belief systems, but pressurizing someone into thinking one thing is the definition of a cult.
yeah, and it's
And
weird because like I went to different churches too.
mhm,
I wasn't just
yeah, so
in
did
one
I.
church.
Yeah.
So like I went to a Pentecostal church, and you think Christianity should be like pretty much the same across the board. It is not.
Oh no.
So then I go to like this Baptist church for a little bit near my high school, and the music is trash. And like instead of all these instruments and stuff, there's one guy that plays the piano very softly. Everyone sings in unison.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Or even like the guy would sing the verse and then you would sing it line for
Yeah.
line, and it's like this is so weird. And
Yeah, I've
then
been.
well, I remember at one point because like Pentecostal beliefs are a lot more expanding. They
Mhm.
believe like you get like gifts from God, like different things you could see into like
like
the
like
spirit
every
realm.
like
Or
everyone has a unique gift that was given to them by
yeah,
God.
and you like
Right?
activate it so like you can see in the spirit realm, or you get visions and stuff like that. You get gifts like healing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember mentioning while we were being taught in youth church, they were like talking about what Jesus looks like. I was like, oh, there's this lady who got a vision of Jesus and she made a painting of it. And
Mhm.
they all just looked at me like, anyway, back to this lesson. I was like, what? And I realized Baptists don't believe in like those gifts or anything like that or anything crazy.
Mhm.
And I was like, what? That's insane. And then I went to this other church that was like,
Because it's something that you were not taught. Like you were taught something, and something else that completely trumps that theory. It's like
yeah, you get all these
it's like
contradicting
it's like
things, and
wait, that's possible? Like I thought no one did that, you know?
Yeah.
Like
And
I
like
thought
you
that
get
was
all these
against.
well, you get all these contradicting beliefs from all these different religious factions. And then there's this open Christian religious church that I went to. I think it was my favorite church, to be fair. They had a bomb youth group. They sang like kind of Christian poppy stuff, but they had people from the church and like yeah, I think someone like one or two people in the youth
Mhm.
groups playing the instruments, like playing bass, playing drums, which I thought was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, that is
Um,
cool.
well, then you got people like fainting. I fainted at one point because you're so caught up in this that you're like, oh, the Holy Spirit's taking me, boom, and you just fall straight to the ground.
You fainted?
Yeah, I was still
Just
completely conscious. Not gonna lie, I was just like, when should I get up?
did you actually faint though, or was it all like was it just to
I
say that you
think
did?
I think it was more to say I did. I think at the time I believed it, but like I was
But like
so
looking back on it, you just like forced yourself to
looking back, like I got lightheaded and I just fell over. So like I think I just like I
took
think
that
I think
as like a sign,
I was like,
you
oh, the
know,
Holy
and then
Spirit's
assigned a
taking me, and
meaning
really,
to it.
really, it was probably like I was like locking my knees or something, and then I just
You
fell
were
over because
dehydrated.
or something like that. Yeah, it's not like I was in like a really healthy and home environment too, so I might have been like malnourished.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
one point where like my diet was just absolute worst. So I actually might have just been malnourished and just fell over. And they
Mhm.
were like, "Oh my goodness, just let him be. Let him feel the Holy Spirit." And I get up and
See,
they're like
like
pat me on the back, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I did it, guys. I fainted like other people did. I did it. The Holy Spirit loves me." And even one point I did like a sermon. I like actually like taught the church
you read a sermon.
that I prepared. Yeah. I had to
Like
find verses for.
you went up to the podium and gave a
I had
little
a,
speech.
I had slides, or
How
not even slides.
how old were you when
16,
you did this? Jesus.
literally Jesus. Yeah, I
Fucking
was
hell,
so
man.
pressured to do these things because I thought that was like I'll be more godly if I do these things, these works for God.
Yeah.
Even at one point when I like wanted to go into music in college, I was like, oh, I'll start my own church, teach music classes in the church and stuff like
Yeah.
that, or be a church like musician for the rest of my life. And but the dissonance got so much that I was just like, I can't do that.
Yeah, no, I that is a crazy story though. That's
Yeah,
because I've known like some of the things you've said today, but I don't think you've ever told me that you read a sermon and prepared it.
or
Um,
fainted, or like,
yeah, no, or fainted or
you know how mad I was that I wasn't speaking in tongues. I would see these people going, and I'm
were
like,
you
why
trying
can't
to do
I
it?
do that? The Holy Spirit doesn't think I should be speaking in tongues. I'm not close enough to God.
Oh my god.
Literally, oh my God.
Yeah, no, literally. You know, it's really interesting because like I said before, you know, at the end of high school is like when I like stopped or you know was starting to take steps back.
Yeah.
And like I stopped going to church which, you know, prior to that I didn't personally go to church. It would always be like a family thing or it would be in school. My schedule, because I was working, you know, fucking 40 hours a week, school 35. Um,
Crazy.
you know, like a lot of those times were, you know, not available for me. And,
Yeah.
you know, I started to drift away, of course. Um, but, you know, over the last 6 years, 6, 7 years, the further I've gone away, the harder people in my life from prior who are still associated with the religion are trying harder and harder to get me to
Pull you
open
back in.
to open my heart. There are a lot of people who I've, met in my life that um, are Christian or are Catholic, and if any problem ever arises in either my life or theirs, their solution is to pray about it and it'll get fixed.
Thoughts and prayers.
My car broke down. My mom said, "I'll pray for you."
That sucks.
That's not
There's always
how.
like, it's always
Well,
like, I'm not going
it's
to come for you. God will come for you. I'll ask him to do that for you.
it's like, I'm not going to help you, but I'll ask this person that, you know 2.9 million or 2.9 billion people on the planet also look up to. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm really not. It's just, personally, it's not me. I can't associate myself with that, but it's
I
the
think
it's the
it's the way you go
people.
about it too.
Exactly. Like,
Like
don't.
if it was like, oh, like this thing you're going through, I'll talk to you, I'll listen, and I'll give you my care and opinions. And then at the
Mhm,
end, you'd be like, hey, I'll keep praying for you. I really hope things turn around. That's one thing. If you're already listening in there and trying to help me through the situation, that's one thing. I can respect you're religious, cool. You say you want to pray for me at the end. That's
mhm.
showing that you care. But then, like, if it's like I'm going through this thing, it's like I'll pray for you right off the bat, and it's like cool. I don't have to deal with it. God will deal with it. It's a way to like
Yeah.
minimize things. I think like minimize your problems. It's like, well, nothing's impossible for God.
Well, it's also like, I've seen and heard a lot of individuals like use the word of God as their excuse for anything that happens in their life. It's like, oh, I got a job. That was God's doing. Oh, I got in a car wreck. God said it was supposed to happen. It's like,
Oh, I had a successful
I
surgery. Thank the Lord, not the surgeons that helped
yeah,
me and saved my life.
not the surgeons that went to school for 20 years. No,
It
no.
was God.
And like, that's personally, that is what I find just so irritating about organized religion, because that's what they teach in, when you're attending ceremonies for the religion. They teach you these things, and a lot of people take that and think that it means that they need to teach other people this and convert them into Christians, or convert them into Catholics, or convert them into, you know another religion. I'm not gonna.
I even got like invited by a friend to go like street preaching when I was in high school. Street
Please tell me you
preaching.
didn't.
I did not. No. He wasn't actually serious, but it was like him offering was like, probably made him feel more godly or whatever.
Yeah.
We did not. We did not.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. It's just,
It,
do you feel like the same way? Like, if you're complaining about something in your day and you like reach out to a friend, and their only response is, "I'll pray for you." How does that make you feel?
it's very minimalistic. It's very like I can't relate with you anymore.
Mhm.
Like that even happened
Mm.
with, I'll say, a member of my family, where like
Yeah.
we would have normal conversations. They're like, "How's work?" I'm like, "Oh, work's been bad because of this, this, and this. I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
by. Do my thing. Just kind of venting." And they're like,
Mhm.
"Have you ever thought of asking God back into your heart, asking Jesus back into your heart?" And
I've been
that's the
asked it the
point
same
where I
way.
was like, "Okay, I can't relate with you anymore." Because it's like, because when you're dealing with these hard times, God's been there for me during these hard times, so He can be there for you.
Mhm.
I'm like, cool. So you just, I can't really talk to you about this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It like puts a wall right in between me and this person.
Mhm.
And it sucks because it's just like, I know you have good intentions, but you're very tone deaf in
Mhm.
your delivery.
Mhm.
If I wanted someone to be a part of my religion, I would lead by example, not by trying to force the religion on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like,
No,
how do you stay
I agree.
positive in all these times? And it's like, well, you know, I believe in God and the Bible. So that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like been something that I rely on to stay positive in bad times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you always have a good attitude? You know, stuff like that. Like, that's, you lead by example. You don't lead by forcing it on others, pressuring others, because then you just
Yeah.
create a wall between you and you can't have genuine relationships. And then even in like college, I would get asked to go to like these church groups and stuff like that, and I would go, and
Yeah.
then I'm not really into it. I don't even like the music. I don't even like what they're saying.
Yeah.
Um, and then I even told my like one of my instructors at one point is like, I feel like I was still kind of religious at this point. I was just like, I feel such a separation between me and like God and Jesus and stuff like that. And it wasn't really a separation. It was more like I'm just not believing in this anymore, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel as like motivated or as I just don't like this way of thought anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt bad. You feel guilty about it. You feel like you're ungodly and not worthy of God's love, and you don't have it. That's the sentiment I was given throughout my life.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to get past, because as soon as you start to waver away and maybe make your own beliefs, then it's like, oh, well, here are these other little things that will keep you
Mm-hmm.
from doing that and make you feel guilty and come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it should be like Christianity and religion is all about like unconditional love.
Yeah.
That's what like the message of Jesus, the story of Jesus is about. His
Yeah.
disciples were all like sinners and stuff like that. And I think, and that's why I do like the story of Jesus. It's unconditional love. He takes the worst of the
Mm-hmm.
worst people, quote unquote, and he sees the best in them. And I
Yeah.
think that's the best sentiment you
Yeah.
can get, not this judgment culture that's kind of been popularized.
I just don't agree with the way that organized religion is taught nowadays. I really feel like this is only a problem in my life towards Christians and Catholics.
Yeah.
Like I don't see any Jewish individuals trying to get me to convert to Judaism, which is I don't even think you can like there is something about like Judaism that you can't just like join the church. Like you have to go through like all of these,
He's like, hey
tests.
guys, I'm
I
just
mean,
gonna show up one day.
yeah, it's like, and um but like there's no
No
like
pressure.
Muslim people trying to get me to become Muslim. Like it's not it's it's only Christians and Catholics
I think their
in my
way is the
personal
right way.
experience. Yes, in my personal experience. And
There's also the language that they use. It's like,
it's
God saved me, so I'm gonna save you.
mhm. It's like they feel like or think that
Like they're above
because
us, and they're
they
like, oh, I'm gonna
yeah,
save you. I'm gonna reach down and help you.
I'm gonna help. That's a good way of putting it. Reaching out and helping you. Yeah. Um, but like it leads to all of these people not having an individuality because they don't like they all of their thoughts and beliefs that they have over their life. It's all indoctrinated.
It's all
It's
identical.
it's well, it is, but it's all indoctrinated. It's all like, oh, does this align with the Bible? No? Okay, then I'll stop doing it. Does this align? Oh, okay, this is good. I'm gonna tell my friends about it and have them start doing it. It's just feels extremely forced.
Yeah,
And
it's not.
maybe that's just because I've been out of like that spotlight for for a decent period of time that like I don't see how it is like in actual mass or anything. But like I've been to mass at many different um Catholic, Protestant, Christian. I've even been to some Hebrew churches before, um or Hebrew weddings actually. Been to two Hebrew weddings, um where one of the people were Catholic and the other person was Hebrew. So it was very like, very different types of environments. So like I'm not naive to what's out there. I've definitely seen my fair share of it, but at my age now and like where I am in life, when it, like the last thing I want to hear when I'm venting to someone is to them say, I'll talk to God about it tonight when I pray.
Like, oh,
You
thanks.
know?
That brings me so much comfort. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah. When I really just want to be like, all right, so you are giving me zero advice on this matter. Your only solution is to pray for it.
Because they think
And
you're.
and to keep praying until it happens. It's like at that point, if
That's
if
not
you
how
pray
life
for two,
works, man.
if you pray for 2 months that you get um, a package delivered to your door, but you pray every single night for 2 months and it finally happens, is it really because of your praying, or is that just a coincidence at that point?
Or is that just the delivery time of the
Is
package?
is that when your Amazon was supposed to be delivered? Like,
Oh, thank
you know,
God.
it,
And it's this delivery driver like sweating and like, cameras like
literally
watching
literally
them.
holding like 12 other packages at the same time. Like, this isn't God's work. This is just how the world is. Like,
Yeah.
this is how it works.
Yeah.
um
I also don't like how I feel like the more
Sorry, I'm
you.
going down a rabbit hole.
No, it's
But
good.
you
I was gonna
like how
say one more thing where it's I remember I would be in church and like
yeah.
maybe some people don't show up on like the Wednesday services or something like that. The
Hmm.
pastor would talk shit. Be like, well, you see all these people who only show up on holidays. They're not real Christians. They're fake. And on holidays, you see all these
He
people come
said
in.
that.
They're like, hello, hi. I'm so glad you're all here. But then when they're not here, it's like you get these people who aren't real Christians who show up only for the holidays or only when something bad happens. But they don't come to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. It's like, dude.
Well, like the whole thing of like behind that is they don't church doesn't get donations when no one's there.
Oh
The
yeah,
more people they can get to come in every single week, the
the
more
more
money they're going to
donations,
get.
the more money they make.
And it's all tax free. So they can claim all that they want. You
Yeah.
you you know about that whole thing, like with the
Oh yeah.
Kardashians church.
Wait, the Kardashians have a church?
The Kardashians own a church. And that's is where a portion of their income comes from, because
There is no
they take
way.
the donations.
There's no way that they're like children of God.
They're not. They just own a church. California Community Church, Aguara Hills.
That's
That's
Agora
that's that's the
Hills?
church that they Aguara Hills,
Agora Hills.
California.
I've heard that. Oh my
That's
God.
where their church is.
Like I
Oh,
respect Kim Kardashian, I really do. But like, come on, bro. Come on. There's
tax
no.
evasion. Yeah. They don't need any more money.
They don't, but they like it. They want more of it. They've always wanted more money. They were always rich to start off.
Yeah. No, they were. I remember seeing them on fucking ETV on like in like 2011. Like when I was like just not even in middle school yet. I was like, who is this family on the TV? And my sisters were both like, "Oh, it's the Kardashians." Huh? Like it was like when they were like first blowing up and stuff on reality TV, and I was like, this is so absurd. It's literally just a camera crew following these rich ass people around their
It's
house.
like they live their entire lives on camera.
I'd hate it. I'd hate it.
Like when do you get time for yourself? I feel like
There's a camera dude right outside your bedroom door waiting for you to walk outside. It's like, I don't want that.
when you get time to reflect and to like develop as a person in that situation. I think that's also the thing with religion too. If you're being spouted the exact same things every week twice a week, multiple
for
times.
years on end.
When do you reflect and question things? When do you, develop as a person? Because I think part of my development was kind of stunted because of these beliefs. And every time my personality or my mind wanted to change, it was like, well, I can't do that because it's not for God. It's not godly, or holy.
Yeah.
And so I can't change in this way. I can't like men, even though I did, it's so, it's like, oh, I can't, like, no, like,
Yeah.
it's like
No,
you deny all these parts of yourself and all these different aspects because it's not godly and it's a sinner's way, and you feel guilty about being yourself.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure like the first time I like saw porn, um my first thought was like, oh God, I'm literally sinning right now just viewing this. I don't know how old I was, but like
Oh,
at
that
that
got me.
young age, like that was my first thought. And then like,
Like, oh my God,
over the
I'm
years,
thinning
I was
right
just like,
now. I'm thinning right now. Oh my God.
I like that was what it was. And I was just like, I don't like, I didn't like the feeling that, like,
You gotta feel
I don't
guilty
know,
about
like,
everything.
it's like anything that is not strictly and explicitly said or stated like by the religion, it's like, nope, can't do that. Or if it is, it's spouted against, and then if you are to inevitably do it, it's like you feel like a shit person, you
A
know?
shit person, unless it meets their agenda,
Mhm.
because there
Mhm.
there are things that will contradict one thing that a pastor says and uses a verse as evidence for, if you
Yes.
just bring this other verse into it and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Not to mention, the church's agenda over the years by Bible translations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How the word homosexual wasn't even added into the Bible
In
until the 1950s, when it was translated from, I think, German,
to
um,
English.
to English, and it was like, it was just added in because I guess that's just what they wanted and that's their agenda. So imagine what
They
else
wanted
has
to
been
add more to it. Yeah. I mean, just
changed.
just think about like, when it was first written, how many changes have been made from the original version?
Oh yeah,
Count, like, I don't think you could put a number on it.
no, you get all these different like
It's been
translations.
it's been centuries. It's just like this, like there's just no way that like these were, the same thoughts that they had 400 years ago. Like
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling to me. Um
because then also, like,
but yeah.
you
Yeah.
think everything has to be the same, the exact same, in all time. Everything has to be the exact same, never change. Becomes your whole personality. Like, everything is
Mhm.
just the exact same. There's no room for change. There's no room for growth if everything is exactly this
The
way
same as it was
or
yesterday.
the
Yeah.
highway.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no gray area. There's no in between.
Yeah. And I've done, I've struggled with that with a lot of family members too. It's, like they're still among that belief system, but my siblings and I have all detached. Um,
Yeah,
one, because of our generation, and, just learning about everything wrong with what they are teaching and our personal values. But like,
and also the
more
rigidity of it all.
exactly, like you just, there's too many contradictions, there's too many hypocrites, there's too much going on to be like, that's true,
Yeah,
that's factual, or I believe that, it's, there's just so many things going on, so many stories being told about the same topic, but they're all different depending on
yeah.
who's telling, you know
It's all
but
different, and like, and then on top of that, there are so many different ways of thinking between all these different factions of the same religion.
Exactly.
They all fight each
And
other,
it's all
contradict each other. It's like, no, this is the way you should believe. Actually, this is the way you should believe, and don't believe this thing, but believe a little bit of this thing, but not too much of this thing.
Yeah. Even just in the small sections of Christianity, because there's sections of like every other religion too. It's like, why? What is this? You guys, like, we use the same book, but we're gonna pull different like, construsions of what it means to us out of it to teach our own. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then on top of that,
like there's nothing wrong with. Yes, they do, but that's besides the point.
It's always the most forced thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah. Just like I don't care what you believe in. Just don't shove it down my throat without asking.
Yeah, and don't make up these these random scenarios too that like would never happen. Don't be ridiculous about it. Be reasonable and be like,
be logical. Like, think about what actually happens in day to day. Don't like your thought process is up here. It needs to be more level.
Yeah. It's not that deep. It's just not.
Yeah.
That was quite the episode.
That was quite the episode. We did get I don't think we said any outlandish things. We just expressed what we thought and our experiences on it.
Yeah, but
that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. We're going to speak our minds.
That's why we're doing this.
No matter who listens or whatever. Like, it's a great way for us to express ourselves, share our experiences. If anyone relates, maybe give some like validation to people, Not to say like, oh, stop being Christian because you listen to the TNC podcast, but it's like,
oh no,
maybe rethink, maybe reevaluate, and
try to like.
It's good to
do
question.
Some reflecting.
Do some reflecting. It's good to question the things that you believe in, because if they're strong enough, then when you question them, then you will come to the same conclusion every time.
That's true.
Thank you all so much for listening and watching the TNC podcast. Whoever's out there, if you made it to the end, thank you so much.
We love you.
We love you. Hit us with a follow or subscribe. We really appreciate any type of support. And, voice your opinions as well, whether you agree or disagree. It's open dialogue here. We don't want to stunt any opinions here because, again, this is all about expressing ourselves and what our minds, our minds are telling us. So
Exactly.
With that said,
check out our socials, allmylinks.com/TNCPOD.
There we go.
Links. And with that, peace out.